Tuesday nights called Women Road Warriors with Shelley Johnson. And I congratulate you on being here. You're going to really enjoy the next little while as Kathy has a chance to share her life story with you. Kathy's been through it all. Former nurse, former homeless, and now drives the largest truck in the world. And we are really excited to have her speaking with you today. She has a copy of her book, Dream Big. Don't leave without getting a copy of that. And I think you're going to find her life story really, really fascinating. She now spends her time, along with driving the world's largest truck, going around doing speaking engagements and motivating others and letting them know that just because things may not have gone well for you in the past, it does not determine who you're going to be in the future, especially if you're willing to dream and dream big. So here is Kathy DeCaro.
Hi. Thank you, Tom. Thank you. Hi. Whew. Can you guys hear me okay? That's the biggest thing. I can't see half of you, but that's okay. Okay, a little technical difficulties, but you know what? It's going to make the presentation so much better. Now, can you even see it? Not yet? We still haven't? Oh, my God. Okay. Okay, well, in the meantime, the reason I have this hat is because I've been driving truck for 10 years, and what I did is I decided to change it up a little bit because I have this, like Tom said, I'm now a co-host for a podcast, a radio show turned into a podcast the following week, and nobody could pronounce my name. Nobody could, they say you're driving along, and Kathy, who, what? DeCaro, how do you spell that? So I needed to find something that's more catchy. So I went as designer minor. And the only reason I have this hat is because I went on the game show, Let's Make a Deal. There we go. Oh, hallelujah. Okay. So I went on the game show November 1st for Let's Make a Deal, and you have to dress up as a costume. And what I did is I went as designer minor. Do you have a clicker? Thank you. So I went as designer minor. Okay. Okay, thank you. So I went as designer minor, so I went dressed up as a haul truck. And I was looking at my hard hat, and I'm thinking, geez, I got to spice it up a little bit. Like, it's just not, you need something, right? So I went to the dollar store, and I glued these on, right? Well, son of a gun, if this hat isn't the biggest hit out there, I went to the show, the Trucking Women in Trucking Conference in Dallas in November, and I brought this hat, right? And there were 1,700 ladies there, and, don't worry about it. 1,700 ladies there, and everybody wants a picture with this hat because it kind of stands out. It's got some bling to it. So I'm not going to keep it on for the whole talk because, oh, my Lord, it's heavy. It's all those diamonds. All right. Whoop. You're coming back? All right. First of all, I want to say thank you very much for taking the time to out of the afternoon to come here to my talk. I don't want this to be just about me talking. I want it more to be about a conversation. So please, if you have questions, if you have anything, just hey, raise your hand and all. As much as I can see you all, I'd much rather we just talk because life is hard. And like Tom said earlier, I've been through a lot. We're going to get into that. Are we ready? Can I try? Yeah. Which is which? Huh? This one? There we go. Okay, so before I get into the talk, I just want to explain my job because everybody wants to know about my job, right? Because I think I have the coolest job in the world. Now, I work up in the oil sands. I work for ExxonMobil, and in Canada, it's Imperial Oil. And this here is taken in our pit. So you can kind of see, so what we do is the shovel, these are the size of ships, by the way. This truck literally is 2.5 stories high. When the box is up, it's 5 stories high. So I sit in that cab up there, and it takes, the shovel is so big, that bucket, it takes four buckets, and it loads 400 tons. That's what these trucks carry. So you can kind of see a little bit down here, how black that is. That is the oil. That is the oil mixed in with the sand. So my job is I go from point A to point B, driving this, and I take the sand or the whole earth, and they dump it into the crusher. It goes up the conveyor belt. It gets dropped off into these big bins, I guess you could call them, and it's with boiling water, so the sand will sink, and then the oil floats, and then it goes down, it gets all this stuff, right? All I do is I just haul dirt, right? So yeah, so people like to see what it is. So this here was taken in Las Vegas at the Caterpillar Mining Exposition last year, so just to show you the size, because it's one thing to see, the picture of it, but when you actually put people beside it, that's how big these things are. I mean, when I say I drive a big truck, people think I drive the trucks that are here. No, it takes six of the tractor trailers to make up one of these, and I'm not kidding. The tires are 14 feet high. You can actually walk underneath, well, as you can see. You can fit 30 people on the deck. You can have a party. You can put a car up there. So I sit in this thing for 13 hours a day for 2 weeks straight. I work for 2 weeks, and then I get 2 weeks off, and I get 6 weeks paid vacation. It's the best job in the world. I don't know if has anybody here been to Peoria? Yeah? Have you been to the Cat Mining Museum? You see, for those that haven't been, they built the museum around this truck. And when you come in, you're coming up a ramp, and then you pay your tickets, and then you go through. You're actually walking along the box. And right at the tip here, there's a door. And you open the door, and they put a movie theater in there. That's how big it is, okay? It is the coolest thing ever, honest to God. I had to bring my mom there in October. She's going blind, and so I said, Mom, before you lose your eyesight, you got to see this. Pictures don't do it justice, right? So yeah, so that's that. So this was taken by the mine trainer. This is the water truck that I drive. It holds 52,000 gallons of water. That's how much water. And I kid you not, I wrote my book sitting in that truck on a legal pad. I hand wrote the book because we're not allowed electronics, we're not allowed phones, we're not allowed nothing. Oops, excuse me. And so my whole job, it's the best job in the mine because all I do is I drive and I hit a button. There's sprayers at the back, which I have pictures later, you'll see it. And yeah, so I'm under this giant water tree 13 times a day. It takes about half an hour to fill this up. And I have 8 hamsters and 1 wheel in this noggin. I figured, you know what, I'm not going to just sit here. So I ended up writing my book in a month and then ended up bringing it home. It took about a year from cover to cover. So let's see what next. Which one? There we go. Okay, so this is the grader that I was telling you about. This grader is literally bigger than a tractor trailer. It's hard to see, but when I have a flat deck coming into the mine and bringing some pipe, I'm literally looking down at the driver, waving, "Hey man, how's it going?" Right? Because they're so big. Like you can see the trainer's pickup. This is my first day on the grader. The trainer's pickup is there. That's how. It has 14 functions on this hand, and it's got 12 functions on this one. So the whole grader articulates. So you have a lot going on. When they train you, it takes a year so that you can go from start to finish. You gotta train for the 4 seasons, because everything's so different. In northern Canada, let me tell you about the cold in northern Canada. When I say northern Canada, I'm saying you got Alaska, Yukon, Northwest Territories. That's kind of the area where we're at. Okay, so this is my newest baby that I'm training on. It's the dozer. It's the biggest dozer in the world. It's a D11. The blade, as you can see, is mammoth. It is the engine in there. It's the strongest machine. It's unbelievable. The power that I trained in the small D6, in the D8, the D9, the D10, and now the D11. I can't even begin to tell you when you're sitting in that thing and you're pushing dirt. It's like, oh yeah, right? The feeling, oh my God, it's like you can do anything, And I told the trainer, I said, if I can train on this, because it's a year training, and I'm only in month 4, but I said, if I can make it through the year doing this thing, I can do anything in life. I can do absolutely anything. And so far, just since I've started training, it's given me even more of a backbone than I had from before. Like it's so empowering. You can kind of see me, I'm sitting up there at the top there. It's really, really freaky though. I got to tell you, like just last set of nights, because we work 2 weeks on and then I get time off and then I get 2 weeks off. And we work one rotation days, one rotation nights. Well, last set of nights up at work, it was minus 45, and it was so cold. And I'm on this machine. I was on a smaller one. I was on a D10, and we're 12 meters high, right? We're on a cliff. And these trucks are coming, and when they dump beside me, they literally dump within 3 meters. All I see is tires, and I'm kind of looking up, and I might see the dovetail if I'm lucky. And when they dump, well, it was so cold that the steam, it was impossible to see. So I don't know where the edge of the cliff is. And I got to push all this dirt because you have truck after truck after truck that's dumping. Well, here I am, and I mean, you got to do your job. And the only reason I knew I'm at the edge of the cliff is because the whole dozer will tip forward. You're like, oh God, back up, right? It's terrifying. But I can tell you one thing, if anything this job has taught me, you feel the fear and you do it anyway. Just, you know what, if you want to do anything in life, you have to be willing to step outside of your comfort zone. You have to be willing to try it, even though you're shaking in your boots. This job is like, holy crap. I could have easily just said, yeah, you know what, I'm just going to stay trucking because it's nice and safe and I can go from point A to point B. But I'm like, yeah, no. If I want to grow as a person, you need to push yourself because it's too easy to stay in the comfort zone. It's too easy to just sit there and let life pass you by. If you want growth, you want change, you got to go for it. You really do. So hang on. Oh, I think it's these nails. I'm not used to them. God. Huh? Oh, it's not loaded yet? Oh, okay. Well, I'll keep talking. That's fine. So this blade, how much do you think this thing is worth? Let's go with there. How much do you think a 797 is worth? Anybody? What do you think? $1 million? 100,000? More? 10 million? Yeah, you're right. It's between 9 and 10 million. That's for the truck. Every tire is $85,000, $90,000. That ladder that you saw where I was leaning against, that is $30,000 itself. It's $30,000. This dozer, how much do you think this is worth? A little bit more. Oh, okay, it's a lot more. 18 million. The grader that you saw earlier, 13 million. That shovel that was there at the beginning, that's 29 million. Like the amount of money that is in the mine where I work it's astronomical. We have 9 shovels, 9 electric shovels. We have, I think we have 9 hydraulic shovels, so they're smaller, but they do the job. We have, oh my God, I don't know, maybe 30, 40 dozers. We have 20 graders. We have all these excavators, all these things. That's just the equipment, not to mention everything else. Can I go? Are we still loading or what? It's not happening. Oh my God. Come on. Has anybody here operated equipment at all besides truck? You got to try it. Oh my God. If anything, go to Arizona. They have a training center. You can try it. I mean, even in New York, in New Jersey, they have a place where you can get on all the equipment and you get to sample it all and give it a shot, right? It's so much fun. I got to say, it is, I'm going to say this, it's men's best kept secret. I have so much fun. I mean, I play in a sandbox all day. I make great money. I have the hours are unbelievable. And you know what? It gave me a voice back. It gave me a backbone. It gave me, it's challenging, it's fun. And did I say it pays well? It pays really well. And you'll always have a job. It doesn't matter where you go, whether it's mining or construction. You'll always have a job. How about now? Can we go? No? Oh, man. Well, then I'm just going to get into the story and I'll catch up to the slides later. So, okay, if anybody, there's a few that know my story. You're not allowed to say anything. So those that don't, what do you think I was doing? I've been doing this for 10 years now. So what do you think I was doing before? Just shout it out. Not that before that. In between that. If you know what happened, don't say it. Anybody that doesn't know, what was I doing between, yes, I was a nurse, but between nursing and this? Sorry, what? Trucking? No. No. Unemployed. I was unemployed, but there's more to that. You can have a book if you say it. Homeless. Yeah, whoever said that, come get it. There you go. Yeah, I was definitely homeless. There you go. Yeah, you're welcome. So yeah, I was homeless, and I had slides, and we'll catch up to that later. 11 years ago exactly, I was drunk and homeless. I had slashed my arm. I have all these scars here. I had no hope. I have a picture of my homeless picture there on the slides whenever we catch up to it. And the reason I ended up there in between nursing and homeless is because I had literally a lifetime of trauma that was so bad that, I mean, I tried to commit suicide 3 times. I was raped, I was gang raped, I was strangled, I was beaten for 7.5 years. I was under threat of being sold into human trafficking. I lived with a shovel on my deck as a reminder of what I was going to be buried with. I was stalked, I had a bodyguard. It was absolutely awful. And all this while I'm nursing, okay? And it was very, very easy for me to take care of everybody here, but when it came to me, I didn't know how. I didn't know the first part of even trying to take care of myself. And I don't know anybody's story here, but I guarantee there's some people here that have their own stories. Everybody's got their story, some different levels, some different. Mine, the only reason I'm here today is by the grace of God. Woohoo! We have slides. It's only by the grace of God that I'm standing here today. While I was nursing, you know, I have this great smile. I take really good pictures, and it was really, really easy for me to put on that smile and shine, you know, because when I'm taking care of your cancer or I'm taking care of your burned body or whatever it is, it takes me out of myself. But when I'd get home at night to the horror that I was living, my only coping mechanism was to drink. And that led me down a really bad path, which ultimately, oh, there, look at this page. Okay, which I will get back to. But just to show you this picture, where are we? Go back up to the dozer. You got it? Okay, we're good. So, needless to say, the whole point of my life was learning to take care of me. And if you walk away with anything today besides some really cool pictures, is the fact that if whatever's going on in your life, if you can take 5 minutes, we're good? Can we go back? Can we go forward? No? Oh, okay. If you can take 5 minutes, oh, we'll just leave it. If you can take 5 minutes for your own story, that is going to be priceless, because it's not about money, it's not about the house that you have, it's not about your job title, it's not about anything else but you. And I like to say that, you know, life is always under construction, but the best project you're ever going to work on is you. And you have to do it for you, not for your spouse, not for your kids, not for anybody else but you. Because there's ups and downs, hills and valley of life. It doesn't matter what you're doing. Life is going to hit you at any given point, any given time. And if the one thing that nursing taught me for 13 years is that you think you have time. Time is precious. You don't necessarily have it. So take the time that you do have and do something really constructive if you can. And if anything, find your own inner peace. Okay, moving back to trucking. So this here was taken at our site. You can see this is our pit bus. That's how big. It's 5 stories high when the box is up. Isn't that unbelievable? Like the difference in size is just, it's mammoth what I drive. And it's so much fun. Ladies, oh my God, you got to check it out if you can. Jeez. Okay, so this was taken at our mine. So those are the sprayers I was telling you about that spray. That's my coworker, Dean. That's that pipe that I was saying at the very top. That's how we fill up the tanks for 30 minutes. This is my grader that got stuck. Oh boy, oh, we're going back. Here we go. Well, if anything, it's entertaining, right? Oh, no. We need to go forward. Can you scoot ahead? Can you do it for me? There we go. Oh, you know what? Okay, yeah, okay. So this is my grader. These things, they weigh a lot, so you can just be going along. Sand is not their friend. So you can just be going along and poof, you just sink. Doesn't matter what you do, you can't get out. You got to get a dozer to come in and pull you out. And I tell you, one time I got the grader stuck 3 times in one day, like not just bad conditions. My supervisor comes along, he's like, Kathy. So anyway, so this is basically our job, right? My job of what I do. So it's just to kind of give you an insight. Okay, can you scoot ahead for me? There we go. Okay, so this here, now this is, you can see how black that is? That's oil. Now, these shovels, this is in our pits. So my job as a dozer operator is up there. So, and sometimes like this is just one bench. You can see there's a road up there. There's a truck. You see that? Well, sometimes there's 3 benches high. You're so high up. And my job is to literally, you're like this all day and you're pushing down. You're feeding those buckets, right? And the ripper over here, what that does, because so far in Canada, everything's frozen. So you got to rip the ground, because when the bucket comes along to scoop up the ground, well, it's frozen. So my job is to help the shovel make it easier on them, right? So you can load the trucks faster. It's all about time. It's all about money, really. So yeah, so let me tell you, terrifying, absolutely terrifying, especially at night when you can't see anything, because you got to think, these blades are so big, you can't see in front of you. You don't know. You got to go literally by feel. Like I was telling you earlier, when you kind of dip, you know you're on the edge. That's how you know. So yeah, it's absolutely terrifying. It's actually empowering, really, because when I was on that cliff and all that steam was there and I didn't really know, I couldn't, trying to feel it out, I actually had to stop myself for a minute and say, good God, girl, look at what you're doing. Like, holy shit, excuse my language, sorry, there's kids. Holy crap, like, look at what you're doing. Like, maybe 1.1% of the population is up here on the edge of a cliff, taking dirt and pushing over and building roads, and like, nobody does this. Like, you're such a badass. Like, oh my God, I had to empower myself. So yeah, it's quite the job, honestly. So yeah, has you guys ever seen them being transported? This is literally, normally they don't do it like this. Normally it takes 13 trucks to haul 13 transport trucks to haul 1 truck. But this, they did it, this is our truck. They were moving it it had to go to maintenance to a different shop. Normally they don't do this. So yeah, that's a lot of moving, right? It's impressive, honestly, right? It's absolutely impressive. Like, yeah. Someone was saying, well, why don't you bring one here? I'm like, yeah, good luck with that. Right? So yeah, this is my dozer. I was just touring the D11 factory down in Peoria, Illinois, and oh my God, it takes 8 trucks to normally ship one of these. It's pretty impressive. So just a few photos, mining mayhem. Can you tell me when I have 10 minutes left? Because now I'm all messed up on the time. Okay. All right, so this here, we have a safety video. If ever you want to go on YouTube, it's 6 minutes long. It was filmed on our site. It's called Curl Split Second. We actually drove, these are things that happen actually in not necessarily our mines, but in other mines. Just the mine down the road at Suncor, a driver was coming out of the pit, out of the shovel pit, and the supervisor was sitting on his phone, doing whatever, and she didn't see him because these things are so big, the blind side, and it was night shift. She ran over the supervisor and killed him. And so, it happens not quite often, at least once a year we have incidents like that. So on our video, Curl Split Second, it's actually on our site, and obviously there's nobody in the truck, but it just shows you how fast it happens. So yeah, and there's a few. So this is literally on our site. This happens all the time. All the time. We have 70 trucks or 80 trucks now, and the conditions, you got to think, these are 1 million pounds. We carry generally about 400 tons of dirt, whether it's oil or just sand, it doesn't matter. But when they sink, they sink. You're just putzing along, and it looks nice and flat. You're doing good, and all of a sudden, poof, you're like, oh, man. And once you sink, you can't get out, right? And this one here in the middle, my coworker was just driving along the road, her fully loaded truck, and the strut broke and the wheel, she just landed right on the wheel. Yeah. So it takes Takes a little bit of effort. It all depends on how bad the truck is stuck. I mean, sometimes you can sit there for 3 hours. Sometimes you can sit there for 10 minutes. The dozer, like my job is just to come behind, move all the dirt, and tell the driver, okay, you ready? And I just give him a push out, and it takes 2 seconds, you know. So, yeah, it's pretty impressive. Sometimes it takes 2 dozers. It just depends. So this is not on our site. These are just incidents that happened. We sink all the time. Dozers, they're heavy. The kind of the ground that we have, it's a lot of muskeg. It just, you know, swampy land. And so you're going along and poof. Like the other day, I was topping piles, like trucks. We have these free dumps, so they'll just dump and dump and dump. So then my job is just to kind of push it all up and then to go on top and then just make it all flat, like, you know, kind of top it up and that's what our next road is going to be. Well, as I'm going along, somebody had dumped some slop, so I just sunk right in. So here I am, stuck between piles. So yeah, it happens all the time. This happened at Suncourt, the mine next to us. This happened at CNRL, the other mine that's on the other side. And this actually happened on our site 2 sets ago. But however, our driver was lucky enough to swerve at the last second. So the dovetail just hit the blind side, like where all the coolant is and all that. So that truck was totaled. The driver just literally, he survived by the skin of his teeth. Like how he walked out of that is just unbelievable. But this happened at the next mine over where a lot of fog. There's so much steam, like you know, there's so much equipment and it's cold and a lot of times you can't see anything. Well, it was a trainee and a trainer that were in the back truck, and there was a truck ahead of them, and this truck stopped, and they were on a ramp, and it was so steamy that this guy didn't know that this guy was here, and he slammed right into him, and he did die, which is awful. It's absolutely awful. But so when we operate for 13 hours, you have to have your head on a swivel. You have to have, you know, your wits constantly, you have to pay attention. That's why we're not allowed phones, no electronics. You're there for 13 hours. You focus on the job at hand, right? And there's the culture that Exxon builds into the teams are absolutely phenomenal. About if you need a micro break, if you need to take time, stop. We have a stop and think. And they want us to take that home, and to practice safe driving at home, and teach your kids. And so everything they do it just extends worldwide, and they're awesome. They're such a good company. So, okay, now here's my homeless picture, and that is not Toothless Joe, but he looks like him. So just so you know, so that's me in 2011. Those are my scars that I had. I don't remember doing that. That's when I was drunk. I have 11 years sober, by the way. Yay! Yay! I know, right? Yeah, so all this took, some of you know the story a little bit, but I was homeless for 7 days, and I had been robbed, and that's the only reason I have this picture is because in order to get ID, you need ID, and being homeless, I didn't have any, so they gave me an identification, so that's the only reason I have this picture. But on the 7th day of being homeless, I had my head on the table like this, and I'm like, how does this happen? I'm educated, I'm a nurse, I'm smart, I got all this stuff. How does this happen? But you would be surprised at how often it happens to everybody. It doesn't matter who you are. Addiction is addiction, and not necessarily, a lot of people, it's not about addiction, right? In my case, it was. I had no coping skills. I had so much trauma that I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't cope. I couldn't put one foot in front of the other. And the only reason I ended up like this is because I kept saying that I'm tough. I kept saying that I'm a survivor, that, I got this. Whatever happened a long time ago. I mean, I was a kid, right? It doesn't matter. And I got this great career, I could be anything. But inside, that internal pain, that internal trauma, that is what led me to this. Because I couldn't deal with it. I couldn't, even though you push it down, it's still festering. It's still a wound. Just like my wounds here, this is festering. I'm not taking care of it. What happens when you don't take care of this? It gets infected, right? It can become septic. It can become gangrene. Same thing with the internal trauma that you might have. Same thing. So that's how that happened. 7th day, this guy, well, not this guy, but Toothless Joe, comes along, slaps me on the back, and he's like, "This is the life. Live it, love it." He was all happy. He was content with that kind of life. When he did that, when he slapped me on the back, I call it a God smack because it shook me. I'm like, what did you just say? I said, this is not my life. Like, I don't care what you think is okay, dude, but this is not my life. And although I had nothing, I made one decision. And that's all I could think of because my head was so full of a fog. That decision was to get away from that guy. Right? So I turned around and I went to the hospital. I detoxed. And I stayed there for 2 weeks, and then I went to a faith-based program that it's called Wellspring, where you live there for a whole year, and I had to unlearn all the pain, all the trauma. I had to relearn who Kathy was. Yeah, that's my nursing picture. So happy. See, you'd never know. This picture, I was 26. You'd never know at 19 I was gang raped. You'd never know it. Or that at 18 I was drugged and raped, or at 14 that I was raped, or that I was attacked since childhood, sexual abuse, right? You wouldn't see that. Or that, you never know. So the masks that you wear, just be aware. So this is part of my book. I had an artist kind of draw that so she could represent. This is just all the stuff that I've already talked about. So this here, that little picture in the middle, that's me. My very first memory is a hand covering my mouth because don't scream, right? And so I spent 4 years without ever saying a word. This picture here, the neighbors dragged me into their garage, tied me to a chair, and did some horrible things. And when I escaped, only because their mother called him in for supper, my stepdad beat the crap out of me because there was blood and my clothes were torn. So I grew up keeping everything inside, and not even my mother knew anything, right? So what I want to talk about in the last part of the presentation is just whatever's going on in life, whatever problem you have or don't have, or whatever you grew up with, or whatever it is that you're carrying, it's gonna stay there unless you deal with it, unless you take a look and try and heal in whatever form that comes, because it's different for everybody, right? What worked for me might not work for you, and what works for you does not work for me, right? But the biggest problem was myself. I had to stop telling myself how awful of a person I am and that I'm no good for nothing, that, these voices that from being told as a kid, you're stupid, you're fat, you're ugly, you're useless, you'll never amount to nothing. Who's driving this truck, right? Who's doing what I'm doing? I am, not them, I am. But in order to get there, I had to unravel this. I had to unwind all that. I had to relearn how to live at 42. Like, my God. It's never too late. And don't think that, it was a long time ago. It's still there. And it's never too late to change. Let me tell you, the freedom that I have today, I can't even begin to tell you. People ask me why I'm so happy. It's because I'm free. Because I'm not carrying that excess baggage. Because I'm doing what I love by helping people, hopefully, maybe tap into their own inner strength that they have. Because we all carry it. You just have to believe it. You just have to tap inside, look inside yourself and find that strength. Recognize, okay, you know what? Things happen. You don't have to live there. You don't have to stay dwelling in there like I did for years in the bottle. I had to get out of the bottle. I had to look at the pain. I had to cry my tears. And then I had to get back up. And man, to this day, even though I have 11 years sober, I still get knocked down, but I still get back up. Like, I just sold my house. I sold everything in it. It doesn't matter. It's just stuff. What I think the biggest problem people have is that they're attached to what they have built. And this is what I want to talk about. Like the cracks in the foundation, the whole talk of the whole point of the talk is the pothole pitfalls, right? The pothole being your problems, your life. Well, how many people are feeling like this right now? You get frayed at the edges. You feel that foundation cracking because life hits. COVID just about threw everybody, under the bus. It was brutal. I luckily didn't lose my job, but so many people did. So if this is you, or is this you? Hang on. This leads to that. And then that leads to this. And then that leads to this, right? Or this. So I spent a long time in there. Where are you? Anybody want to say? Right? Where are you? Look at this and really look at where you're at and put away that phony smile. Take a look at your life. Where are you? Where do you want to be? You don't need to stay here. Yes, you can avoid it. Yes, you can drive. Yes, you can, you can do that. But for how long? Really, for how long? I want to talk about momentum versus torque, and the only reason is because this is a really good educational session. Think about this for a second. You have a problem, right? You have a mountain, literally. You got this in front of you, on your path. You have an obstacle. What is the first thing you want to do? You want to just ram right through it, right? He said, you know what, I can knock this through. Well, it doesn't matter how much momentum you have. So say you back up, you say, okay, I'm going to take a good running go at this, and I know what I need to do. Well, even as a dozer, even with the biggest dozer in the world, when I got a mountain of dirt and I do that, because I do, you think, oh yeah, I got the strength, I can do this, right? So I just give it all I got. Well, man, you just hit the wall. You're not going to do anything. So that's the momentum. No matter how much momentum you have and how good intentions are there, you're still going to hit the wall. What you need is torque. The torque is the steps that you're going to take, the piece by piece, the bit by bit that you tackle that problem. First thing in dozer world, what they teach us, slices, slices, slices. No matter how big the dozer you got, shave it off. One step at a time, one piece at a time. So whatever's going on inside, I had so much trauma. I ended up spending 2 years in that women's center. I went back 3 times because I had layers and layers and layers. I could only deal with so much at one time. You got to shave it off, So just pick away at it. And the biggest thing I can tell you is be kind to your mind. Be kind to yourself. You're working at it. You're going to have good days. You're going to have bad days. But at least you're trying. At least you're getting up, right? So keep the torque. Now, another thing before, I don't know how much time do I got? This here, construction. Right at 10. Beautiful. Okay. This here, construction. Everybody hates it. We all deal with it. What I want to refer to is at work, what we do. We spend billions, I'm not joking, billions of dollars building roads. We spend, it takes 6 months to build. We know we're going here. We're planning. The mine planners, they have this all worked out. So here we go. It doesn't matter. Rain, pour, snow, storming, weather. It doesn't matter. We're working. But we know that in 6 months' time, no matter how much money, no matter how much we've invested in it, we're still going to rip it down. So if you could view the same thing as your life is always under construction, right? So whatever you got, if you can detach yourself from it, detach yourself from the pains of it, and so recognize that, okay, maybe in 6 months' time, I might not, maybe your marriage is on the rocks, I don't know, or maybe your finances aren't great, I spent half my life broke. Well, if you can detach yourself from it and kind of not expect it, but look at it from a different perspective, saying, okay, well, you know what, in this is happening right now, well, what am I going to do to fix it? What are my resources that are around that I can go locally and find the help you need? And I'll tell you, I don't know how many times, the biggest help that I had was on my knees, praying to God. I mean, I've had, when you back up in those pictures, my conversations with God started when I was in the doghouse as a kid, because it was the only safe place I had. Well, prayer helps. I'm not here to talk about that, but I'm just saying, find what you need. Find the resources that you can to help yourselves. Who's brave enough to say what they're feeling right now about themselves publicly? Can you do that? How do you really feel? Not talking macho, I'm not talking really, oh, I'm tough, I'm this. How do you really feel about yourself? Can I have one person just stand up? How do you feel about you?
I feel that I'm empowering myself more. But, the last year, I got me a counselor to help me get through, I was a veteran, to help me get through some anxiety and depression issues. So I feel that empowered me to be able to stay on the proper path. I feel like I'm empowering myself.
You showed up here. Good for you. Here, come here. I got a prize. little baby prize. Thank you. A little mini truck. There you go. Thank you. You know, it's hard. It's really hard to look at yourself, not to mention to have the guts to stand up and say in front of people how you're feeling and what you're going to do to change. All I can say is that as I come to the end of this presentation, my life, everything as bad as it's been, as hard as it's been, as many tears that I cried, what I do now is I give back. I go worldwide. Everywhere I go, I make sure, like even if I go to the Caribbean islands, I don't care. Yes, I spend Kathy time in the afternoon on the beach, but this is in Barbados, this is in Grenada. I make sure I visit the schools, and I do it for free. I visit the women's shelters, I visit the prisons, I create community events. I give my book away for free to them because they don't have money, and it's not about money. It's about all these girls here, they've all been raped. These kids, sexually assaulted, right? Raped, that small. So I'm talking about good touch, bad touch, about not keeping secrets, about having a voice, because this, to me, is why I'm alive when I should be dead. It's not about my job. Yeah, it's a great job. It pays well, but it also gives me the time to do this, right? So if you could find your why, find your purpose, find what it is. It doesn't have to be this, but it has to be something. That is what's going to get you moving through the next phase of whatever problem that you're going through. You got to find your why. Do I have any more? Is this it? No. Yeah, I bring school supplies. I started the Hands of Hope. I do Operation Hydration for the homeless. At work, I collected over 7,000 pairs of used work boots and 2,000 hard hats, which I deliver to programs that help people get jobs. Because people throw these boots away. Well, you know what? When I started, I didn't have money. I didn't have boots. It's a barrier. You have this golden opportunity. Well, crap, I don't have money, right? So now I recycle all these boots at work, and I give them 7,000 lives that I've been able to enhance and change, help change, because now they have a chance. So do what you can in your communities. Do what you can. These are my books. I wrote a children's book only because when I was looking at those kids down in Barbados and Grenada, they can't read my book, right? It's too much. So I needed to write a spiritual, my spiritual journey as a kid and what helped me get through all the trauma. And that was through God. So that's what I did. And I give this book away for free. It's so not about money. I guess the one last thing that I want to say is that know your worth. Don't think for a second that you're worthless. Don't believe what other people's opinions, what they think or what they don't think. It's not about them. Who cares what they think? This is about you. This is about finding your power, finding your inner strength, nurturing yourself, being kind to your mind, helping yourself get back up, because I can guarantee there's people in here that are struggling, that are really going through whatever it is, health, finances. I mean, it could be anything. You're worth the effort if you make it. There's so many resources. My book, you can reach out to me. My name is reach out to me. I always respond, always. I have tons of resources on my webpage. I'm on all the social media. I'm now designer minor, right? Because since the whole thing, but I would love for at least one person, if you can come up and maybe share a story. We have a few minutes, right? Two? One, two? One? If we can have someone come and share something that they've overcame. 3, 4, woohoo! God, I did good. I almost feel like, remember the commercial? Start the car! Sorry. Does somebody want to come up and just maybe share something that they've overcame? Because it's not about me. It's about every person sitting here, that what have you survived? What have you overcome? You know? It's finding that courage to say it, to talk about it, to own it, to own your own strength, to recognize your battles, recognize what you've fought through, what you've been through, and be proud of yourself. It's like that moment when I was sitting in the dozer in the steam, and I got the ripper on the cliff, and I'm thinking, oh my God, like I'm a badass. Like, holy crap, I'm actually doing this. I owned it. And not in an egotistical way, saying, oh yeah, look at me. That's not that. It's just recognizing the hell that I lived, but also recognizing the strength that I found over and over and over again, because I've had so many. Let me share one last story. When in between the homeless and the nursing thing, I had lost my career, right? And I spent 3 days on the couch, laying there, waiting for God to save me. I just laid there. I didn't eat, I didn't sleep, I didn't wash, I didn't do nothing. And I was depressed beyond depressed, right? No food in the fridge, no nothing. My daughter wasn't talking to me. Well, on the third day, I'm on my knees, and I'm begging God, right? And I'm crying, and I'm sobbing. There's a song that came on, it was on TV. It was Another Round from the Foo Fighters. And it's a acoustic version. Anyway, the song is saying, can you go another round? I will follow you. So I'm on my knees, and as I'm crying, I listen to the words, and I stop crying, and I ask myself, can I go another round? Like, do I have the strength? And as I'm looking, I was in a really crappy basement. There was only one window, and the guy was a hoarder, so it was all black. I look up, and there's a ray of light coming through the darkness, which was impossible. And it came through, and it hit me right here in the heart center. And as I'm looking up, there's stars that are twirling like this. It could have been dust particles. I don't know. I saw stars, so I'm going with that. So I'm looking at this, and I'm like, oh, there's stars, right? And so the song is saying, can you go another round? I will follow you. And I'm like, oh, you'll follow me, hey? We'll see about that. So I get up. I go from the living room, tiny little room. It's like a space like this big. And I move over to the little kitchen. The light never left my side. The spiritual, it was there. And I was sober. Let me just put that out there. I wasn't hallucinating. It was there. So I'm looking at this, and I'm like, damn. It caught my attention. So now I move from the little kitchen over to my futon, and I jump up and down. The light never left my heart center. The song is still playing. Can you go another round? I will follow you. Well, in that moment, I dropped down to my knees, and I surrendered. I said, okay, I don't know what you got, God, but clearly you got something. I'm like, okay. As soon as I said okay, there's this voice, not schizophrenic, it was clear. I heard, Kathy, get up. So first of all, I turn around and look, because my ex used to stalk me. He used to break into my house all the time. So I thought it was him broken in. But there's nobody there. So I get up, and at that moment of getting up, there's a knock on the door. It was the guy my friend who lived upstairs. He'd been gone for 3 days. He says, I had a feeling you weren't doing so good. You need help? Hey, when opportunity knocks, you take it. So that was the first time in 2009 when I went to detox and went to that Hope Mission, that Wellspring program for women, right? And that was the beginning of recovery. So from then until now, every step that I've taken has led me here. Every step that I've done for myself has brought me to the point of talking here to you today. And if there's anything that you take home with you, is that, you know what? You have the power inside to do whatever it is that you want to do, to overcome whatever it is that you want to overcome. And if you need the help, go find it. There's free resources. Talk to me. I mean, you have to move. As long as I stayed laying on that couch, nothing was doing. I could have laid there for a week. You have to move, even if you cry the whole way there, even if you crawl there. But move forward. Do something to help yourself. And don't do it for your kids. Don't do it for your spouse. Do it for you, because that makes the difference. So in saying that, I guess my talk is over. Does anybody want to say anything, one last thing, real quick? No? Did you find anything good? Yeah? Was this worth coming? I hope so. Yeah? Okay, thank you very much.